I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, December the 17th, brought to you by RealMax Herd Health Program that pays. Results include 3 to 10% increase in conception rates, 10 to 40 pounds increase in weaning weights, and 15 to 30% forage and hay savings. That's the big one. Bring profits back to ranching with RealMax. Deliveries were sparked on Wednesday, and that's what happens when your spot board at the late in the contract month is running $3 to $4 higher than what you can get for fat cattle. And you think, well, is that going to help the market? Well, it's not going to help your futures market because the board will be down on Thursday morning because your longest longs will be scared they're going to get delivered on, so they're going to jump ship, and then that'll make your board go down a little bit on your live cattle, but that will help the guys as far as on their hedge for their basis won't be quite as negative as what it's been here. But just a few deliveries, but like 35 contracts. They're not quite full loads, but 35 train car loads. So that'll be a few less truckloads than that, but still that's significant. That brings about a change a little bit. And it's pretty evident that the guys in the Southern Plains are not going to take the $1.05, the $3 lower that your Southern or your Northern guys are taking. And granted, it's probably on some big heavy cattle that they just feel like they have to get rid of, that they should have been getting rid of beforehand, but now they're thinking they may have to hold them through the long holiday break, and then they're really going to be monsters when they get done with that. But that's just kind of the way things work, and it doesn't happen as often as it used to, because we don't have some major players in there that used to bring about that as much, but still it does happen, and it's going to bring about some change. Cattle on Feed report's going to come out this Friday, and it shows to be positive. Now, whether it'll be bullish in comparison to what the average of the analyst guesses are, that remains to be seen. But the information itself and what most of your prognosticators think, it's a positive. It means lighter numbers going forward, fewer placements during November, lighter numbers of cattle that are going to be finished in April time period there. We've got April sitting at 117.85. It probably belongs closer to 120 or right in there close to 120. And a lot of your people have been saying that for the last couple of months, but it's been lagging behind just like everything else. But your information that's going to come out Friday is positive. Right now, the average of your analyst guess for December 1st inventories on feed is 100%. So that's not too bad, because we know we've had big record numbers of cattle on feed here for quite a while. We know we've got them going forward here through the first quarter anyway. But our placements have been lighter. They're expecting them to be much lighter again. November placements, they've got them pegged, or the average in the analyst guess is 91.8. Got a huge range in there from 85% to 95% of a year ago. So we could actually, we could hit that. It's not as lofty as the last couple that they put out there. So we've had lighter numbers of cattle going through your auctions. Your pen space has been very limited, so I don't know how we're going to put any more cattle on there on feed than we did a year ago, because we didn't have as many a year ago already on there. We'd have to move it on over a little bit to get him in there, but we could hit that number. I know we've seen some huge auction receipts here the last couple of weeks, but that's not in November placements. That's in December, and we did catch up some then. But that'll be interesting to see what that placement number is for November. November marketings look to be a little bit disappointing, but they're calling them that way. So 97.9, and they've got a huge range on there. We know exactly how many cattle they kill every day. but they've still got a big range from 97 to 102. But at least they've got it down there. So if it does come out to be a little disappointing, we've got some room for that. So be looking for that around 2 o'clock Central on Friday. Here in Fallon, Nevada, on Wednesday night, getting ready for the big special they got at Nevada Livestock Marketing on Thursday. Starts at noon, and that's Pacific. So you guys got time to get on there, but be sure and get on dvauction.com. You can view and bid the sale. Got a bunch of those weaned high desert calves lined up out there. They're in pretty decent sized packages. You can put some loads together fairly easy. The cattle will stand a long haul if you need to give them one. Don't let all these little hard calves get away before you get a chance to buy them, because these lighter weight calves are getting harder to find. Look at the board on Wednesday. December live cattle futures up 17 cents at 108.77. They were kind of on both sides of steady there, but showed some strength at 108.77. And when 105 is all you can get, or the absolute best you can get in the country from your packers, why wouldn't folks start delivering them? You know, they shorted the board. That means they can sell it. You know, that 108.77 is a lot better than the 105. And most of you guys that deliver will tell you it takes about $1.50 to $2 a hundred to deliver, as far as expenses and everything. So if you've got deliverable cattle, which the weight range is the main thing, you can deliver anything basically as far as quality, but and you're going to get paid the same if you slaughter cattle of different qualities, you know, on your own. But that the weight deal is the main thing. But they've got them up there. You can deliver them up to 1,500 pounds or beyond on individuals. So they should be able to deliver quite a few cattle there. But with the best you can get at 105, you'd think up to 107 it'd sure be worth your time. And then we got another $1 or $2 on top of that. I would say your board would be down at least $1 or $1.50 on Thursday, just to kind of shore that up and stop it, because like I said earlier, longest longs are going to be bailing big time. Well, that will help the basis out on your hedged feeders there. But and I think it could kind of show for the overall market some support as we start showing these packers that, you know, you guys are not giving enough for these cattle. You know, even your folks outside the industry have got your board propped up better than what you're willing to give, and hopefully your guys in the Southern Plains won't give in for less than $1.08. February live cattle futures up 90 cents, 113.77. That doesn't sound too awful bad off in there just in the dead of winter. But going out forward from there, you're up 35 cents to up 87 cents. January feeder cattle up 75 cents at 140.85. We've got our index levels, real-time index, it's the most current, is sitting just over 137. Your latest available CME cash feeder cattle index is still just over 136.5, and we've got a spot January feeder cattle contract at almost 141. That's pretty optimistic, guys. But the heck of it is, if you're selling feeder cattle going right into the feedlot, that don't help you. Just because your feeder cattle board is higher, you can't deliver those. It's a cash settlement deal, and I promise you, by the time January matures, it will line up exactly with your CME index. It always does. That's what it does. But whether or not your cash prices come up to meet it, which I think they will. I think the first 2 weeks or 3 of January will be gangbusters. I think that'll be a good time to sell cattle. Your order buyers hadn't got any commission for a couple of weeks. They're going to be hungry. We've continued to deliver fat cattle out of your feedlots. That shakes loose a little bit more pen space. There'll be some more storms on these cattle. They will be longer weaned. And I think it'll be a bright future, because we're getting a lot of this 2020 crap behind us with the pandemic and everything, and more vaccines getting out, and that seems to be going pretty well. And I just think that it looks very positive for the first couple 3 weeks of January, the new year there. People turning over a new leaf with optimism. and your January feeder cattle board shows that too. March feeder cattle was up $1.07, and they're almost 142 at 141.97. We haven't had a lot of difference in your feeder cattle futures here all year, and that's not a lot of difference either, but still showing a little bit of premium there. Going out front, farther down into spring and summer on your feeder cattle futures, up 50 cents to up $1.07. Your fat cattle trade, I mentioned you guys in the northern plains have been caving at the lower prices, much lower prices, but I'm hearing from a lot of those guys in that part of the country, in Iowa and parts of Nebraska, they are getting rid of some monsters. They knew they were going to have to take a discount on them, and they're go ahead and taking it, and they're getting rid of them live because that market's a lot lower than what your dress market is. But Iowa, about 5,000 head sold on Wednesday there, from 102 to mostly all 105. That 105 is $3 lower. Your dress trade from 165 to 167, that's not that much lower. Nebraska, 10,300 head sold on Wednesday, all at 105, $3 lower. Dress sales 165 to 168. That's only steady to $2 lower, so not as much lower, but a lot of your guys in the northern plains, your bigger outfits, they can't get excited about selling them that way. So we're not looking for a lot more trade unless something breaks loose and your packers start giving more. Talked to several guys in the southern plains. They're priced at 108, and they're not ready to give that up yet. Might be a weak sister or two in there, sell a few cattle that they got to get rid of. Less than 108, but otherwise it's going to be 108 or they probably won't trade. Box beef cutout values, some lower, but still they're trying to shore those wholesale beef prices up a little more as we get into the holiday season here. Choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, 207.22. That's down $1.60, but not as much as it was down there for several sessions. Select cuts, 190.209, down just 11 cents. Your slaughter's running pretty good pace. We haven't got to the point where they're backing off. They likely will when they get into Christmas Eve and Christmas. That's going to be a long stretch. Christmas Eve, Christmas, then Saturday and Sunday. 4 days being dark. If some of them indeed do that, that will be a long stretch. But 357,000 through Wednesday. That's 3,000 more than last week. 10,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Wednesday, setting at 137.04, up 63 cents. Your CME cash feeder cattle index is at 136.64, your latest available. It will catch up and be right in there tight with that 137 when it comes out here today, later on in the day. Let's talk about your big sales on Wednesday. Of course, OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 6,500 head for your 2-day sale. Feeders, $1 to $3 higher. Calves, $2 to $4 lower. That's the opposite of we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, where a lot of demand for lighter weight calves and even kind of your middleweight background in calves, and not as much excitement on your feeders. But now this week it's flip-flop a little bit. But long-weaned calves that sure enough had a hard long wean on them in shots, they did note that they were selling mostly steady. Pretty good snowstorm moved across parts of Oklahoma and Kansas there, and they're not used to that. They're not crazy about it. It did kind of slow some things down, and a lot of your guys that were buying calves to background, maybe turn out on some weed or putting some kind of a growing yard or something, they did back off on those unless they looked foolproof. And and we're sure long time weaned and turned out. Weaned and turned out means so much more than just weaned. But look at your big quote that I saw come out of El Reno there. 123 head of some really good condition or light condition, thinner type steers weighing 789 at $144. That's a big quote, guys. How about Winter Livestock, Dodge City, Kansas, 1,900 head there. Feeders steady to $4 higher. Calves steady to $4 lower. Very similar to your trend there in El Reno. I did note that their packer cows were quite a bit lower, especially on your bigger fat cows there. and that just goes along with your beef market. But thought that maybe it would be getting close enough to Christmas that your cow buyers would be getting pretty aggressive, but they're not showing it yet. You know, your market was higher there last week and a little before, but now they look like they're pulling back a little bit. They've got a lot of cows lined up. Those cow plants, they put cows on feed, and those guys that are in the know that have an order or friends of theirs, they put a lot of cows on feed to get ready for that 2-week break there. But, you know, maybe the upswing will be whenever they get started again after the new year. Maybe that's the best time to bring your packer cows in. But I can't tell you. Just have to be very regional within where you're at in the country and which cow plants come to your sale barn. Best thing you can do is talk to your marketing agent, talk to your sale barn manager, your commission guys in there. They will know more about it than anybody else, and ask them when the best time to bring your out cows in and get the best price salvage value for those. How about Bassett, Nebraska? They had a sale, had 2,200 head, not one of their big specials, but still pretty good sale. Kind of unevenly steady where it was comparable, but I looked at this automated report off Cattle Market Central out of there, and some of your best tested weights actually look steady to $5 higher to me, but you guys use your own judgment there. Some of your best tested weights, how about 477 head of the 5-weight steers, average 547 at 174.92. 777 head of the 6-weight steer calves, average 634 at 162.76, and then 250 head of the 7-weight steer calves, average 710 at 154.59. Your best tested weight of heifers was in the 5-weight category. Nearly 300 of them, average 541 at 156.99. All of those are big quotes on a weighted average for everything was there. A couple of stick out deals out of Bassett was 92 steers, weighed 628 at 168. Wow. And 135 at a 710-pound steer calves bring 155 and a quarter in Bassett, Nebraska. Those are big prices. How about some stick out deals and some other sales around the country? Green City Livestock Marketing, Green City, Missouri, north central Missouri there, 63 head, 807-pound steers, 145 and a quarter. How about a Holstein steer quote? As far as I'm concerned, Springfield, Missouri is still the Holstein steer capital of the world. I know there's not as many of them anymore. We got sex Siemens, the way that they're growing the Holstein heifers is different now. We just don't see as many Holstein steers around, and a lot of places won't kill them anymore. So it's harder to find big slugs of them, but they still feature them at the same time every week in Springfield, Missouri. That's still your Holstein steer capital of the world, always has been. Springfield Livestock Marketing Center sold 50 head of 1,052-pound big Holstein steers at $89. And I heard of a big string of little 5-weight Holstein steers that bring about the same price there just a week or two ago. So Holstein steers pretty much bring the same no matter what weight they are. They're about the same because they're fairly inefficient to feed, but some guys love feeding them. They do eat up a lot of feed, and if you've got some cheap feed, you can add value to them that way. But your best quote that I saw anywhere, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. How about 51 head, 955-pound yearling feeder steers, bring $144. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.